Hi everyone, hello. My name is Pelisa Mafunda, and I'm a financial wellness coach. So today I just thought I'm going to come in here and talk about how does healing look like, because I was thinking maybe a person would buy a book and then they wouldn't know how healing looks like. So I thought, let me come in here. I did say I'm going to be hosting more on this page, the financial wellness page, more than the personal page. So I'm going to leave this video here and I'm going to start talking whether there is a person or there isn't anyone joining, and then I'm going to leave it here. I'm also going to move this recording to my YouTube channel, so you can always catch it later. Get it on my YouTube on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Pelisa Mafunda, so you can subscribe there, because as time goes by, again, I'm going to use more of the YouTube channel than the Facebook pages, whether my personal page or my what is this, or this page, the business page, that is financial wellness with Pelisa Mafunda. So I'm going to be using a lot of this page currently, and I'm also going to be using a lot of the YouTube channel. So today I'm talking about how does healing look like, and I'm not extracting from my book, because on my book we're only talking about the healing process. So I thought, let me first talk about the healing process. Just how does healing look like? Okay, before I go to the healing process, let me first start by saying, how do you know if you are wounded? Because maybe you wouldn't even know that you have a wound. You are emotionally wounded. So in this book I cover the healing process, talk about healing process, and on the very first phase, where I talk about the phase 1 on the physical wound. So I've done an comparison, if I can put it like that, between the physical wound and the emotional wound. And on the physical wound, I say the body wouldn't know that it's wounded unless the mind registers that wound. So it's the same as the emotional wound. Your body wouldn't you wouldn't know that you are wounded unless your brain registers the fact that you are wounded. In a case of debt, you wouldn't know that now you are continuously in debt, because Bongi, you wouldn't know that you are in debt unless your mind registered uguti, actually there is something wrong with the way I am carrying on, or the way that I am behaving. Is it because of the childhood? Is it an ancestral? I mention quite a number of wounds in the book. So you wouldn't know unless your brain is actually aware, or your mind is actually conscious about it, that actually there is something wrong with the way that I'm behaving. Actually there is something wrong with the way that I am carrying myself, the way that the reason behind my forever being in debt is actually deeper than me just going to banks and applying for this and doing this and doing this. So you need to be first aware of the fact that, okay, probably there is something wrong. So you bring it out of your out of your unconscious mind into your conscious mind. So how do you do that? Before I can even actually go to then how do you know that you are healed? How do you bring something from your unconscious mind to the conscious mind? You pay attention to your pattern, your habits, how you are behaving, and obviously take a moment and pause and ask yourself, I wonder, why am I behaving like this? I wonder, why am I always seeing results of this nature? So when you do that, then you are actually interrupting your subconscious mind into saying, is this thing that I'm doing because of something that I believe it's true, or is it something that I've just I'm doing because there is something that is not right with the way that I'm carrying myself? I'm not sure if I'm making sense, but you bring it by questioning it. You bring it from your subconscious mind to your conscious mind by questioning it. So you check your habits and your habit patterns. I have a course where I talk about the roller coaster mindset, where I actually talk about the patterns and the habit patterns and how do you actually pay attention to that. So you bring it to your mind, to your conscious mind, by questioning it and asking yourself. So if you notice, for example, let me just make a clear example about myself. I had paid attention to the fact that I had a pattern of me having money for 2 weeks, and then the last 2 weeks of the month I'm broke, and no matter how much I had, it was just a pattern. So I had to question myself and ask myself, I wonder, why do I forever have this pattern that I'll have my money from the salary for 2 weeks, and then on the second week I go and borrow, whether I borrow from the stokvel or I borrow from where I had decided to borrow, whether I do a short-term loan, but I would have that habit pattern and feel very bad when paying, like, I maybe been nyamezele for 2 months, for 2 more weeks I was not going to be paying off this month. So it was this cycle that was going on forever and ever, and I had to now question this behavior and ask myself, I wonder, why am I behaving like this? And I took a pause and I wonder what could be the reason for me to be doing what I am doing now. And I went back to my childhood and I picked up Uguti. It was my childhood cycle. This time, okay, in my childhood it was about food, and and now I am no longer doing it about food. I'm doing it in a form of money. So it was now like that. So if you had bought my book, you would understand when I talk about my debt story. When I talk about my debt story, I do say, Uguti, the reason of my behavior was simply driven by my childhood experiences, and those experiences, they then turned into a wound, and I ended up now moving from that wound, that thing that I thought I was like getting myself out of, and yet I was putting myself more into it because of it was now already in my subconscious mind. It was something that was happening over and over again. So I had to question that and ask myself, I wonder, why am I behaving like this? And then when I asked myself that, I wonder if it's true what I believe about this behavior. Then after that, I developed something that I call a habit pattern interrupt, where I now had to interrupt this pattern of this behavior. Anyway, I do cover that on a course. There's a course that I have that says Escaping the Money Roller Coaster Mindset. I do cover that in detail, but I just wanted you to know, how do you then identify this wound? How do you know that you are wounded? So you ask yourself those questions. But the main topic of the day is, how do you know that you have healed? How do you know that you have been healed? And I do not cover this in this book. I just talk about the wounds, and then I talk about the healing process, and I give you the healing process. Of course, I do just cover a little bit, but I haven't gone into deep about it. Now, how do you know? How did I know that I was healed? How do you know that you now have healed from these wounds that are actually like making you uguti unga functioning properly? First of all, I stopped feeling shame about it. I stopped being ashamed of the decisions that I had taken through my life and brought myself into debt. I was just no longer ashamed about it. I was very much aware, and I was not ashamed to say, no, I owe this and this, and I am on a journey to pay this and this, and I don't have money because I am on a journey of paying this. So for me, it was no longer a shame being in debt. It was no longer a shame. It was like, okay, I am in debt. I'm in here now. I've made these mistakes. Now, how do I fix them? How do I move forward? How do I, go on into making sure Uguti, I no longer do this. I no longer find myself deep in this hole that I have dug for myself. So I stopped feeling ashamed about it. I was okay. It was no longer something Ndandi not so happy to talk about. It was just something, it was a topic like my hair not being in order, and I'll be like, there aren't any barbers opened, so I'm not ashamed of it. So it was something like that. So I stopped feeling shame about the debt. So that's the first sign of knowing Guguti, you are in the process of healing, and there are some parts of your wound that have started to heal. You are processing the healing, and there are parts that are already healed already. And then again, I stopped feeling angry at myself. I would be so angry at myself every time I'm making a payment or an installment. I would be so angry. I would be like, why did I do this? Why did I put myself in such a situation where now I'm left with this amount of money at the month end because debit orders have taken this and this and that. I would be so angry. I would be so irritable on month ends. And then when I had started the healing process, I stopped being angry. Instead, I started to celebrate. After every month, I started to do the countdown. So in a debt where I was left with 72 months, I started to do the countdown, 72, 71, 70. I started being excited about it, and stopped being angry and started to celebrate the fact that, oh, okay, now minus 1 month. And I could see the journey. I was like looking forward to the end, to the term end. I would be excited about that. I just stop feeling angry and being angry at yourself, and stop. Another one, I stopped blaming. There are a lot of things that you can blame. You can blame yourself. You can blame the situations around you. You can blame the circumstances that put you through the being in debt or being deep in debt. So you stop blaming whatever that has put you into debt. Like, for example, you find yourself, you are in debt because there was one debt that I was like forever angry with, where I had let me not say it, it's too close to home. Let me just say, let's just say, let me make an example. You're taking a car, and then you have a tire burst, and you don't have money to pay, and then you find yourself having to go and borrow that money so that you replace the tire. I'm just making an example. And now you start blaming, why did I even go to that mgidi? Why did I even do this? If benhlele endlini, this wouldn't have happened. So those are the circumstances that you can actually blame. If, for example, it's something I don't know what example. I'm running out of examples now. But in fact, the examples that I'm having are they just not they are just not the right examples to say, if I can put it like that. They're not the right examples to say. So just blaming your circumstances. Uguti, why did you have to go through these circumstances for? And then you find yourself, Uguti, you get into debt because you had to sort out this situation. So when you start to heal, you stop that. You stop blaming the circumstances and the situations, and start to look at them as a lesson. You start to look at them as a lesson, and then you start to say, okay, by the way, I got myself into debt. I had to learn this and this and this and this. And you start to see the reasons and the lessons behind why you had to go to this. And then acknowledge that and start embracing those lessons, acknowledging, oh, okay, this is what I needed to learn through this thing. So let me rather just embrace it. So when you stop blaming yourself and others and the circumstances and the situations, then that's another step of you knowing ukuthi, oh, okay, I have actually healed, I have been healed, okanye I am healing. Because a healing process is not something that happens overnight. You can't just say today, okay, I sleep today and I have made a mistake, and I'm identifying this wound, and because now I have identified it, I've healed. No, it doesn't work like that. So it's a process. So when you start to see this progress of you acknowledging, you not feeling guilty, you not feeling shame, you stopping to blame yourself or others or the circumstances around you, then you know ukuthi, oh, okay, now I am in the process of healing, and the healing is actually starting to happen. And I did mention about the embracing the fact that you are in this situation now, and you are accepting it, and you are facing it heads on. You are ready for it. You're ready to just do this thing, and knowing ukuthi, when I get out of this hole, I am not putting myself back into it. You can only do that if you know, Haizo, you can only be able to do it if you know your why. What was the reason behind you getting into this situation? If you don't know, if you always have you justifying your reason for it, if you're forever justifying for it, your reason for it, then it's going to be difficult for you to actually say, okay, I have healed. But if you are like, okay, I am in this situation because of A, B, and C. In the book, I talk about ancestral wounds. In the book, I talk about peer pressure. One of the biggest wounds people will get in. People find themselves into Guti. They are in biggest debt because they have peer pressure, and the peer pressure doesn't only come in a way of you wanting to be better than a person, or you're wanting to fit into a certain group. Peer pressure can come from the community, when they say, okay, now that you are employed, this is what is expected of you, that could be the peer pressure. So the moment you are able to identify, okay, I found myself into debt because I was under a pressure because kwakufuneka ndakhile ekhaya. Then you have identified that, and then you ask yourself why. I wonder, why did I feel the pressure of having to, now that I was employed, did I feel the pressure of building at home? Now when you do that and you are able to identify why you felt that pressure, now you will know in the future you are not going to respond to the pressure. And now whatever decision that you are going to be making in the future is not going to be based on the pressure. It's only going to be based on you wanting to do that. Now that is part of healing, knowing what the decisions that you are taking, they are solely influenced by you, nothing else but you. Okay, so you're going to be able to do that when you embrace it. You embrace it when only if you are able to know what was the reason behind it. You can only do that. I hope I'm making sense. And then you identifying the lessons out of it. So instead of putting in the blame and complaining and beating yourself too much around it, you identify what is it that you have learned out of it. Then when you have learned something out of it and you're taking something out of it, then, and knowing the reason behind it, and knowing why is this thing happening, why, like in your journey you would always know I wonder, why did I lose a shoe? Just making an example, you are walking in the road and then all of a sudden you lose a shoe, and instead of you saying, I lost a shoe, complaining about the shoe, and then when you reach at the end you ask yourself, I wonder, why did I lose a shoe in the middle of the road? And then when you do that, you will be able, you're opening yourself to lessons. Okay, I lost a shoe because I had to learn how does it feel to walk in a barefoot. And then when I walk in a barefoot, this is what happens. And I had to like now teach abantu who are following me ukuthi maybe in along the way you might lose a shoe, and don't sit down because you are still able to walk even with barefoot. So I'm just trying to make an example ukuthi what is it, you pick up something, you learn something from the mistakes that you have done, you from the situation, you teach yourself to identify the lessons. For me, I always say the lessons that I have gone through, it was for me to write this book. That was the reason. So it was not all about suffering and all that. Yes, I am suffering, yes, I have suffered, but what was important was the lessons that I was taking was for me to write this book, so that the person who is in my, I always say, if you are on journey number 10, then I am on journey number 5. Then the person who is on journey number 5 is going to share with me the experiences of journey number 6, 7, 8, and 9. So for me to be okay, sorry about that. I'm losing connection. It's for the person to be able to reach journey number 1, 2, and 3. They will be taking now guidance from me. So for you must try as much as you can to, instead of looking at the errors, look at the lessons out of it. And then the last one, the very last one, celebrate it. When you start to celebrate your installments, when you start to celebrate the fact that okay, you are 1 month down, you are 2 months down, you have made this payment, you know okay, I'm no longer feeling bad about it. I'm no longer angry. I'm no longer seeing it as a waste of money. If I was not paying this, now you're starting to celebrate it and knowing when this thing is done, I'm not going through it again. Now that is a huge step, and that is your stamp. For me, that is a stamp of knowing oh, okay, now I have really now healed. Because if you still feel the pain, if you still complaining, if you still just for you, if debit orders are still giving you heartaches and all kinds of feelings, then you're still wounded, you're still feeling the pain. But when you start to celebrate and doing the countdown, if you have a 60-month installment and you start to do the countdown and start to celebrate, okay, now I'm left with 59 months, now I'm left with 58, then now you are now in a process where you can safely say you have healed, and you know you are not going back to that situation again. So for me, that's how healing looks like. That's how healing looks like. The moment you take out shame, the moment you take out guilt, the moment you stop being angry, the moment you stop blaming yourself, the moment you embrace it, the situation that you are in, and when you start to do a celebration. Because when you start to do a celebration, now you know why you are in this position, and we have taken the lessons out of it, and you know that you are now working on getting out of this situation, and you are going to now celebrate it all. So that is what I wanted to share, guys, with you. Thank you so much for joining. On the 1st of June, I'm going to be launching this book. Basically, I'm just going to be trying as much as I can to cover, just to give you an idea what the book is about. I'll be launching it on Facebook on the same page, and then the following day, the 2nd of June, I'm going to be launching it via Zoom. I'm going to share the Zoom ID on this page. I think that it is the Zoom ID is already on the advert. So you just join me at 4 o'clock for both days, and on Zoom we'll have an open question session. So if you have the book, it would be more nice for you to have the book so that you can ask questions and get a depth understanding of it. But you can order the book as well on the website. I've recently launched a website, www.phelisamafunda.co.za. I'm going to post it on the comment section here on this video, so you can order there, or you can contact me at 074 9311 000 and get yourself a copy. PEP is also opened because we were using a door-to-door delivery, a company, courier company, but now I have received the news as it is, PEP is opened for delivery. So you have an option to choose between a 50 rand delivery, that is a PEP one, and the courier company, which is 100 rand delivery, that does door to door. Thank you so much, guys, for joining. I don't see any questions, but I'll look at to it. No, there aren't any questions. Thanks a lot for joining. Please share the video so that everyone can just get the information and take what they can use. And yes, thank you so much.